Hello and welcome to another top 5 video breakdown from Nitecore Store. Today we will be taking a look at our recent and a few fan favorite EDC selections.
Are you new to this channel? Consider subscribing and liking our videos for more Nitecore content.
The 5 flashlights that were chosen were the Nitecore E4K, the Nitecore Tini2, the Nitecore T4K, the Nitecore EDC27, and the Nitecore MH11. Now I will be honest, in the past, previously when I had to do these top 5 videos, I just sort of jumbled together some of the marketing gibberish that you often find on the manufacturer's slides and brought out the specifications and did a fairly rough comparison. However, for this top 5 EDC Lite comparison video, I thought it would only be just for me to actually have to carry and use it for at least a day to provide a at least somewhat meaningful accurate assessment. That being said, I decided to carry all of these starting on Friday, last weekend, till Sunday. Just carried them throughout the weekend to see and actually get a feel for what it's like to carry a flashlight around. That being said, we still need to do a quick fire breakdown of these specifications. So, as you may know, the Nitecore E4K is equipped with 4 Cree XP-L2V6 LEDs for a maximum of a 4,400 lumen. This beam goes out to 230 yards in a nice, wide, incredibly wide dispersed cone beam. The Nitecore T4K is very similarly equipped with also 4 Cree XP-L2V6 LEDs. However, it operates at a 4,000 lumen max, and this beam goes out to 228 yards, fairly similar to the Nitecore E4K, just about 400 lumens less and 2 yards less. The Nitecore Tini2 is equipped with 2 OSRAM P8 LEDs for a 500 lumen max, and this beam reaches out to 97 yards, also a fairly wide, nice dispersed smooth beam. The Nitecore EDC27 is equipped with 2 luminous SST40 LEDs for a 3000 lumen max that reaches up to 240 yards. I found it surprising that the EDC27's beam reached further than the E4K and T4K. And finally, the Nitecore MH11. I insisted the MH11 be included in this bunch. It is equipped with a single Cree XP-L2V6 LED for a 1000 lumen max that reaches out to 207 yards. It is the budget light in this build, a no-frills, very simple, compact flashlight. And it is at this point that I must offer that sort of bog-standard disclaimer you often find on YouTube videos, where I say that this is merely my own opinion. I'm not enforcing it, nobody has to adopt it. This is of course in an effort to preemptively absolve myself from any future criticisms or oversight. And furthermore, my opinions are law. Everyone should do exactly what I do. Wait, no, that can't be right. This is the keychain that I've been using since, essentially, ever since I had a car. I just removed my car keys, but this is what I have clipped to one of my belt loops. I'm not sure where I got it, but I just like that it was very heavy duty. It's a solid chunk of metal. And so I carried the T4K as well as the Tini2s on this particular keychain. Now the Tini2s, I did not mind carrying on my keychains in addition to my car keys and house keys. It truly is a very compact and light keychain light and is very handy. If there is any small niggle about the Tini2 that I could offer, it's a personal one. Because I have a hook right next to my door when I get into my house, just out of habit always hang my keychain right next to the door. And therefore, sometimes I would forget to remove the Tini2 to utilize the USB-C recharging. Of course, I never ran into the issue of having the battery drained because I didn't use it that often, only for about 3 days. That being said, if this was something that I did utilize every single day, especially for somebody like me who is very, very used to, it's just ingrained into my muscle memory to just always take this off my belt loop and hook it right next to the door, the Tini2, it's almost too lightweight and too convenient that while it was on my keychain, I just always forgot to remove my keychain and charge the Tini2. Now the T4K on the other hand, because it has so much heft, that of course is relative. Compared to the Tini2, it has much more heft. Compared to a bog standard flashlight, the weight is essentially the same. Because it is a proportional amount of weight that I was not used to hanging off of the keychain, I definitely always remembered as I essentially unhooked this from my belt loop, oh right, there's a T4K attached to there, and I remembered to charge it before hooking it next to the door. So in a way, the T4K is slightly inconvenient enough in the weight aspect. It essentially forces you to remember to take it off and charge it. It basically makes you aware of its presence. On the other hand, one thing I noticed about the T4K was, as I carried it around on the keychain, I eventually came to a point where I decided to just take it off and carry it around in my pocket. For as you see, it is indeed equipped with a very heavy-duty steel pocket clip. The reason for this was because of the way that it just sort of swung around on my keychain. Perhaps it's just my particular gait. I don't know if perhaps it depends on stride or how you walk walk, I don't think I walk particularly differently from any other people, but the way it just kind of like swung around, I did find it annoying after a while. It could also be because I normally don't carry much on my keychain, just car key, house key, that's about it. Finding that the clip was very convenient because eventually I just decided to take it off and carry it around in my pocket like a standard pocket flashlight. So it's versatile in the sense that you always have the option to remove it and use it as a clip flashlight. Now this brings us to our 3 more standard flashlights. If you observe closely, the EDC27 is only slightly longer than that of the MH11. However, the length of the EDC27 wasn't that much of a concern. Perhaps it could be because I'm a guy and men's trousers tend to have larger pockets, so I didn't really feel uncomfortable with any of these in my pocket. That being said, the MH11 definitely is sort of your bog standard flashlight. It wasn't very noticeable, whereas the
E4K
is definitely wider and thicker because it utilizes a 21700 battery compared to the 18650 of the MH11. The E4K, it's noticeable in that, but it's not uncomfortable at all, at least for me. One other thing was that the EDC27 is sort of marketed as this slim, blade-shaped elliptical oblate design, which is supposed to enhance EDC carry and not supposed to be as uncomfortable as a cylindrical flashlight, and yes, it is less thick. However, I'm leaning towards the side that that's mostly marketing gibberish because none of these were particularly uncomfortable. It's not like you're carrying a cacti in your pocket, it's just a flashlight. However, when it comes to operation, I will have to give the marks towards the EDC27 as well as the MH11 because I am somebody that is particularly fond of tail switches. I much prefer tail switches over the side switch, so the ability to hold the flashlight in this sort of grip and operate via the tail switch I found to be far more ergonomic. Could also be the way that I'm just used to pulling out a flashlight or perhaps a pocket knife, any other thing that a EDC really in my pocket. If it's sitting in my pocket like this, I like to reach in with my thumb, pull out this way, and then naturally just sort of flips right into my hand. And so the tail switch aligns with my thumb, and I find that use to be intuitive and simple. Whereas with the
E4K,
if it's oriented this way, I pull it out of my hand like this and naturally just let it fall into my hand, then it would align with my pinky. Whereas oriented this way with the LED facing upwards in my pocket, suppose I could reach in, pull it out. If I flip, then I could easily operate it with my index finger, but then I would have to sort of angle my hand out like this to use, which once again doesn't feel as natural. And of course, the most important aspect out of these 3 more standard flashlights is that the EDC27 is directly USB-C rechargeable via the built-in USB-C port. The MH11 is directly micro USB rechargeable by that micro USB port, and the E4K comes with a directly USB-C rechargeable battery inside. Like so, the NL2150 HPR. And so we have a actually very well represented mixed bag of benefits and shortcomings. Really, the EDC27 was the most convenient. It became fairly natural for me to where once I entered my room, essentially I take my phone out of my left pocket, I would take this out of my right pocket, just hook it up to the charging cable, and I knew it would be ready the very next day. Whereas the E4K, of course, the minor niggle being that, well, take my phone out of my left pocket, take this out of my right pocket, and I had to sit there and unscrew the tail cap. Or perhaps tell myself that, well, I didn't use it that much today. Oh, and it's a 5000 milliamp battery, the largest capacity battery out of these 3. Perhaps I don't need to take out the battery and charge it today, because in addition to being a creature of habit, I'm a lazy creature of habit. And then finally the MH11, once again, although it's an 18650 battery, and the capacity isn't as good as the E4K, micro USB was chosen specifically for this one because it is a budget flashlight, and so they wanted to use the previous generation technology. Of course, USB-C would be far superior. And so, directly USB chargeable, but slower, faster, largest capacity battery. However, you do have to remove the battery to charge it. And now for the final thoughts of the Nitecore EDC Top 5 flashlights of roughly summer 2023. First, the Teeny 2. I would recommend it. It is an excellent gift. It is very small, very compact. That being said, the momentary turbo of 500, but the fact that the option exists on something this small is quite convenient, and let's not forget the USB-C charging as well. It is also very unassuming to have on the keychain as well. I think this would be an excellent gift and something almost anyone could get and could easily EDC without it being particularly uncomfortable. The T4K, on the other hand, is definitely a more specialty enthusiast keychain. It essentially has enough power to go toe-to-toe with a standard sized flashlight. The battery, however, of course, is a little bit smaller. However, because of its sheer presence on your keychain, unless, I don't know, you're like the janitor from the Matrix. No, I think he was called the Keymaster. The heft in and of itself might be a slight bit of a detriment, though the power makes up for it. And so if you aren't a fan of this sort of standard flashlight, I would highly recommend the T4K as a very, very powerful keychain flashlight. Now, the Nitecore MH11, much like the Nitecore Tini2, I believe makes an excellent gift. It is a great entry-level flashlight, all of the sort of modern perks, a good quality LED, smooth polished reflector for an impressive beam at only 1000 lumen. The battery inside is lithium-ion and rechargeable, and it even has a micro USB charging port. So it's an excellent little gift to give to somebody who needs a flashlight and has been using one of those rickety plastic ones, perhaps. Something that is reusable and will last them quite some time. Now, if I can compare the Nitecore EDC 27 and the Nitecore E4K, kind of reminds me of essentially like a German style car and American muscle car. If that makes any sense. Because this one makes 4000 lumens, this one makes 3000 lumens. However, this one is sleeker and seems more refined, whereas this one just seems robust for being the sake of robust. The controls, on the other hand, are much more fluid with the EDC, once again, at least for me, and how I orient the flashlight in my pocket. However, the E4K, especially after their update on their side switch, is also very intuitive and easy to operate. Even though this is 1400 lumens more, essentially you are getting just a very large, wide cone of well-dispersed floodlight. So if I had to choose, I would choose the EDC 27. I mean, it looks better. What do you want? And that concludes the top 5 Nitecore EDC flashlights of mid-summer-ish early summer 2023. All of these products and more are available at NitecoreStore.com. If you have enjoyed this video or think I'm a big dumb fart, please leave a comment or suggestion below. To stay up to date on future product releases, sales announcements, and all things flashlight related, please consider subscribing to the Nitecore Store YouTube channel. And thank you.